right, good evening, and welcome to the Dreary Midnight Podcast. My name is Lisa, my pronouns are she, they.
My name is Celeste, my pronouns are she, her.
And it is the most wonderful time of the year.
Oh.
So we're going to talk about some spooky shit. We are going to talk about the ghostly trope of the Grey Lady.
Yes.
No, that's literally just Celeste being excited she wasn't possessed. But
I had no idea what the topic was going to be, and I said, don't tell me, I want to be surprised.
All right, let's get into it. Intro music.
Intro music. My voice is giving out, so you get to hear those dulcet tones.
Yes. All right. So when I was doing research for this, the woman in gray lady type of trope, there's women dressed in all sorts of colors, apparently. Most common are black.
As women are wont to do.
Yes. Girlies be wearing whatever, right?
I'm in yellow.
Yeah, there
right
was
now.
apparently a woman in yellow. There's a lot. Most common ones are white, black, gray, and red. And again, there is a yellow one. There is a green one. There is a. I'm sure there's some sort of chartreuse one.
Why did I was literally about to say chartreuse and then you said it.
But apparently gray ladies tend to show up where there's been some sort of injustice.
Oh.
It's mostly English. Okay. So we're mostly doing places either in England or of English colonization.
Isn't it like ladies in white are a death omen or something?
And sometimes they can be depending on the culture.
And ladies in black, does that have like a meaning to it?
Not
Scary.
necessarily. It just tends to be ominous. Apparently Virginia does have a lady in black. She's crazy bet of Richmond. Grew up in the Richmond area, but spied for the Union, even though she was at the seat of the Confederacy. But could do an entire episode on her because like she at around 40s when she's doing her spying, and then she has to survive in Richmond another 40 years. She dies in her 80s. Anyway, so first up, we're gonna do one from Kentucky.
Ew.
So Liberty Hall is apparently haunted by a Grey Lady. Liberty Hall is a mansion built in Kentucky by John Brown. It was finished in 1804. He is a lawyer and a state rep. I don't know if he's connected to the people doing raids, but he's initially a state rep for Virginia, but did a lot of advocating for Kentucky to be a separate state from Virginia, because
I didn't even realize that they were connected.
So Virginia territory used to be gigantic, and it seems just like from first colonization to the end of the Civil War, just pieces of Virginia kept getting hacked off and hacked off and hacked off. Because originally Virginia went roughly to the Ohio Valley area.
Holy shit.
Then including like Kentucky area.
I guess, yeah, thinking about it, those old maps where all of the states just kind of look like very long strips. Because
they hadn't decided which European country got to have each specific thing yet.
Although Alexandria used to be part of D.C.
Yes, for about 50 years. And then D.C. started to think about a gradual abolition law. And Alexandria, being the third largest port city in America for the slave trade, thought, maybe not.
Yikes.
But back to Kentucky. So John Brown finishes the mansion in 1804. He's married to Margarita Mason Brown in 1799. So about 5 years before the mansion is finished. He was 42. She was 26.
To be fair, that could have been a lot worse.
It could have been a lot worse.
I thought you were going to say something with a teen at the end of it.
Yeah, that's fair. But they had 2 kids who survived to adulthood out of 5 total pregnancies. Yeah, 2 kids, Mason and Orlando. Mason, I think, follows into the...
Wait. But her maiden name was Mason.
Yes, that's literally what I was about to say. So Mason, I think, falls into the trope of early 19th century, where often the oldest boy will get as his first name the mom's maiden name. So Fitzwilliam Darcy and his cousin Captain Fitzwilliam, likely it's a maternal cousin.
So my son would be Ortiz. His name would be Ortiz.
Yeah.
Actually, that's kind of a dope-ass name.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. But the potential haunting, and I'm reading this from directly from the Liberty Hall website.
Ooh.
The Grey Lady is thought to be Margarita Veck, who was the aunt of Margarita Brown. The aunt was Margarita Varick, excuse me. And the aunt was traveling from New York to see her son in Illinois, and then stopped in Frankfort, Kentucky, to see Mrs. Brown. And then Auntie Margarita dies 3 days after arriving on July 28th of 1817.
Oh, no.
Yeah. She apparently just became violently ill one night and died before the morning. Apparently the cause of death was not determined, but theories range from a heart attack to acute indigestion to exhaustion after a long, hard journey.
I was going to say probably some sort of like appendicitis or something. Like if it was sudden.
She was in her 70s. So traveling alone in 1817, any or all of the above. So she dies in 1817. First recorded sighting was in the 1880s in one of the upstairs bedrooms. An incredible name, Mary Mason Mame Scott, was sleeping in the room when she awoke to see an apparition, a tall woman veiled in gray.
Was Mary Mason also part of this family?
Presumably.
At least through some sort of...
I mean, she's Mary Mason Scott, so presumably it's some sort of Mason cousin initially. So she wakes up in the middle of the night in the 1880s, sees this tall woman with a gray veil on, and she screams for her brother, John Matthew. And he comes in with a shotgun because, it's 1880s Kentucky. And
honestly...
But like also
a reasonable right now.
But if you're like if you hear your sibling screaming the next room over, you don't know what's going on. It's either the baseball bat or the shotgun sometimes, right? But the ghost had just vanished. Same exact scene happens 3 nights in a row.
Oh my god, to the same woman?
Yeah. And then eventually a family friend later suggested that maybe it's Auntie Varick, and who was haunted, later referred to the spirit as, quote, our beloved ghost, unquote, and she viewed her as a kindly ghost.
So I'm assuming that she looked like an old woman.
Well, she's wearing a gray veil,
so
can't really tell. Yeah, but apparently stories of the Grey Lady continue to this day. We don't know for sure why she still haunts, but apparently that bedroom, second level southwest corner, apparently is where she tends to visit. Apparently a lot of Brown family members had originally been buried on the grounds of Liberty Hall and then reinterred. A lot of them, historical fact, were reinterred in Frankfort Cemetery in the 1840s, but some theories say that maybe this body was missed when everything was moved over. But either way, there's apparently, according to the Liberty Hall website, no grave marker in the Frankfort Cemetery for Auntie Margarita Varick.
Even though it's known that she died there.
Even though it's known that she died there. And there is kind of a creepy photo if you want to come around and see it.
So, my God.
So this photo is of one of the staircases.
It's on the Liberty Hall historical site.
Yeah.
Historic site, but it's one of the staircases. Is that like, are they saying that's like photo evidence of it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it
literally just looks like there's a figure on the stairs.
Yeah. Hard to tell the gray and or veil situation.
No, like it's basically just a humanoid-esque figure. Think like shadow person, but less defined.
Yeah. But that is number 1.
Oh.
Number 2. So, next up, Hampton Court. And this was the one that this was the photo that freaked me out the most.
Oh.
First of all, how much do you know about Hampton Court Palace?
Nothing.
Hampton Court Palace was the house for a while of Henry VIII.
Okay.
Of 6 wives.
Yes.
And
very famous. Very infamous.
Infamously 6 wives.
The musical 6.
Yes, I have been binge listening to the musical 6. So that's partly what inspired this one. And so the Grey Lady...
Is it one of the wives?
No.
Oh.
Though apparently Kate Howard does, I think, haunt Hampton Court. Another one of the Catherines haunts somewhere else. But Kate Howard, I think, is the most tragic. Side tangent. Kate Howard is the most tragic because, she's beheaded at 19 when she's married to a 50-year-old for, quote-unquote, flirting with people and committing treason.
No
Again,
evidence.
see above 19. But the Grey Lady is thought to be Dame Sybil Penn, who was a servant at Hampton Court and the nurse of Prince Edward. Prince Edward, only son of, well, technically one of 2 acknowledged sons of Henry VIII. The other was technically illegitimate. Mm-hmm. Either way, both of them died by the age of 16. But Sybil apparently served the family for the duration of most of the wives, at least. But her biggest impact was on Prince Edward.
Okay.
Rumors of the ghost sightings of specifically Sybil began around 1829 when her tomb was moved and when the palace was rebuilt.
Of course. That's just classic.
So
getting ghosts.
What we're learning is don't move tombs without a good reason. Apparently she died of smallpox in 1562. But the creepiest photo, this is the creepiest photo.
Oh, God.
Okay, so I'm going to have you come over here again. I found this through Express UK. There are 2 cousins who, day out to the historic palaces. So what I'm showing Celeste is one cousin took this other photo of her cousin, in this historic room, lots of paintings about.
Some empty tables and chairs.
10 seconds before, that's what happened, what they were taking photos of.
What is that? Is that it's hair? A veil?
Some kind of veil hair situation.
But it's tall.
Yeah. And so the person in this photo is about 12 years old. So approaching almost adult height, probably, but not quite.
This thing looks like 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't look like a shadowy person like the
it
last
looks
one
like
did.
It
looks like there's another person in the room.
So when I saw the photo initially, I thought initially that Hampton Court did a Halloween haunt type of thing, and that's who they have in that room, right? But no. Then 10 seconds later,
oh my God,
she finishes walking down the hall to take your awkward 12-year-old photo with these fancy paintings.
The first picture is literally her walking to the spot where she's gonna pose.
Yeah.
And it looks like there's a figure in what looks to be a blue-ish or blackish.
Dark gray.
Yeah,
gown.
well, I guess blue, black is gray, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a dark gray gown, like 18th century-ish.
Yeah.
Gown.
But
maybe a little older than 18th century.
What makes me not think this is Sybil, or at least Sybil isn't the Grey Lady.
The dress is too fancy?
Well, not that, but if this is hair, like most of the time, from what I understand of 16th century dress and hair customs, you're not really letting your hair down under any circumstance. Like, you're bathing, you're brushing it out, and then you're meeting it immediately, like braiding it or putting it back up again because of, oil control and maintenance and whatever.
Not just that, but loose hair was seen as unruly and
again, this isn't Kate Howard, this is Sybil Penn.
Yeah. Is she still going to be a professional woman?
Yes. Also, if she's helping raise the heir.
The royal baby.
Yeah, if she's helping raise any infant, you can't have, long,
hair.
dangly earrings, you can't have long hair, you can't have, errant yarn. There's a plethora of reasons why she would have her hair up in her cap, or I'm not sure if cap is the right term. Cap is the 18th century term, but up in her whatever hair situation would have been. And again, the everything will be linked from Express UK for that one. Next up, staying in the UK for this one, is Gainsborough Old Hall.
Once again, I have no idea.
Lincolnshire. So we're staying with King Henry for a little bit as well. And again, this is from hauntedrooms.co.uk. So Gainsborough Hall, built in 1460 by Sir Thomas Burgh. 1460.
Sorry, I heard that wrong.
So King Edward VIII.
Yes.
Edward VIII is like the 1520s. He's Edward VIII, I think he was born in the 1490s and dies in like the 1540s, 1550s. 1460, Sir Thomas Berg builds Gainsborough Hall. So he dies 1496. His son Edward is declared the next lord and then was 15 years later is pronounced insane. But
love that.
So then third Lord Berg, second Sir Edward. Edward called his kid Edward.
This is why I like the name Celeste, and a part of me is like, I would name my kid Celeste, but then I feel like I'd be confused.
Yeah, they're so confusing.
Which one is me? Like, if somebody says Celeste, it's time to me or my daughter.
Well, also, having done some research in, like, local history, there's, like, 3 or 4 Sarah Fairfaxes within 2 generations and married into the same or out of the same family. So, pro tip from a researcher, don't name your kid the same name as you, or at least give them a distinctive middle name.
Or the historians will hate you.
Yes. And then they will, in fact, haunt you.
There's just this one Sarah Fairfax, apparently, that did a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Lived a very long time.
Yes. Younger Sir Edward marries Catherine Parr in 1529. Catherine Parr eventually is the survived wife, last wife.
I remember her.
Yeah. And they live in Gainsborough for till 1530. And, yeah. So 1541, King Henry VIII comes to Gainsborough Hall and with Catherine Howard, the 19-year-old. I cannot emphasize enough that Catherine Howard is a teenager. Gainsborough Hall is where Catherine Howard, allegedly a 19-year-old, commits her indiscretions, is how this puts it. She's beheaded because of adultery, apparently. Lots of long history, but...
Which is rich. Like, didn't he have mistresses? He had to have had mistresses.
Yeah, I mean, he technically has 2 sons, one of which is technically illegitimate, but acknowledged as the heir.
Also, he literally created divorce so that he could marry someone else.
Yes, exactly. But,
I mean, he didn't create divorce, but, you know, created a hold for
Church of England specifically so that he could divorce. Who was the Grey Lady of Gainsborough Old Hall? Apparently, it's Elizabeth Berg, who is daughter of the first Lord of the Manor, Thomas. Apparently, Elizabeth was in love with a peasant. How dare she? And her father found out about the plan to run away. And,
so romantic.
And as punishment, locks
not
Elizabeth.
Romantic.
As punishment, he locks her away and in one of the rooms in the hall. Apparently, she dies shortly thereafter, allegedly, according to a broken heart.
Or starvation? No.
Maybe both. I don't know.
Appendicitis, once again, strikes.
But the most common reporting of the Grey Lady is from the Tower Room, and apparently she still haunts the halls in search of her lover. During some renovations, however, because this is, you know, the episode where we find out
that if you move a grave, or if you renovate a house.
But part of the corridor was stripped back to reveal a secret door that had long been hidden away.
Oh my god.
And when the Grey Lady has been seen to wander her hall, she turns a corner and just kind of vanishes. And it's that spot where the Grey Lady always...
Because it used to be a door.
Yeah.
I love that. I love when I first learned that ghosts go in random walls because it used to be a corridor or it used to be a door or something.
Yeah.
God, that just itches my brain somehow. Like, of course it makes sense that they would be going through the same path that they would go through. Like, you're ever driving and you're driving like to work, or you're driving somewhere that's near your work.
Yeah.
But you have to like diverge or something, but you accidentally drive to your work because it's just muscle memory.
It's just autopilot. Yes, I turn here and then here and then here.
Of course ghosts would do that.
Yeah. Exactly.
They're essentially memories.
Yeah. But last one is a ghost in a ghost town. Sims, North Dakota.
Ghost towns.
Sims, North Dakota once had a population of more than 1,000 people in 1884.
Okay.
It was only a year old at that point. I found this from the Wayback Machine for prairiechurches.org. But at that point, apparently it was only a year old. And a coal mining boom, plus a brickyard, brought people into town. And just 6 years later...
I used to be freaking obsessed with ghost towns, dude. I still kind of am.
But then 6 years after that, down from 1,000 to 400 people.
Oh, shit. The mines run dry.
Yeah. But the post office officially closed in 1947, and it's officially kind of a ghost town. It's in Martin County, North Dakota.
Wait.
Yeah.
Is it a ghost town, but there's still people living there? Or is it like nobody? Because you said it went to 400, but what is it at now? It's officially a ghost town, right?
Hang on. I'm going to double check this. So officially it doesn't say. Apparently the only thing left functioning is the Lutheran Church.
Shit.
Yeah. The town is a ghost town and is apparently haunted. Let me find where I left off. And this article goes on to say, and I'm going to link it in the show notes, it's interesting to note that while the parsonage has been uninhabited, it long has had a permanent resident known as the Grey Lady Ghost. She occupies a first floor bedroom now restored to its original condition. And if you can hear any like wild background screaming, that is not us, that's the neighbor.
He went, woo.
But Reverend L.D. Dordals, what a name, 26-year-old wife and church organist Bertha died in the building after a lingering illness sometime between 1916 and 1918. And then the Reverend remarries and shortly after the death and moves out of town.
This is also the episode of What Did They Die From? Who knows?
Yeah. Lingering illness could mean anything.
I'm just going to keep saying appendicitis. That thing can knock you out, man.
But it's theorized that when the Reverend and the new wife left, Bertha still stayed. She apparently moves up the stairs, opening and closing windows and playing an organ that no longer exists.
Ooh, I love that trope. The organ playing ghost.
Yes, or the musical
piano
ghost.
Playing ghost is creepy, but an organ has this like bass to it.
Yeah. Yeah. But one night, apparently, a young woman who was boarding in the upper room felt an extra blanket laid over her while she slept. Yet to her surprise, she found nobody had come up the stairs during the night. Pastor Carl Nelson and his wife Olga lived in the parsonage in the 1930s. Olga said that she would see a gray shape upstairs and also saw the pump handle move up and down by itself. Although she considered the ghost a friendly present, the church council contacted district officials in 1938 and asked them to investigate the supernatural happenings.
Exorcism. I was going to say exorcism, but it's a Lutheran church, so maybe not.
Maybe not, but it doesn't seem like she's trying to hurt anybody.
No, she put a blanket over someone.
Yeah.
Because they were cold.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Grey Ladies, I think, is that...
They never seem like malicious.
They're not here to, like, portend anything terrible. I think it's just they're there to, look out for things for wherever they are. Look out for things where they are.
Well, a lot of the times it seems like they were maternal figures or like, wifely figures.
Yeah.
Like one of them was literally a midwife.
Nurse.
Yeah, it was a nurse.
A nurse for a child. So,
exactly.
Yeah. And it seems like the other theme is don't disrupt graves, because
Stop doing that. Stop it.
Just don't.
Just let the dead be.
Lie.
Let them
let them lie. So it's on the shorter side today, but
honestly, it's a perfect kickoff for October.
For spooky season. It's the most wonderful time of the year. So if you want to keep the show going, support us with money.
Patreon.
Patreon.com/drearymidnight. If you want to help support us in the algorithm and not with money, like, rate, review, subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. It really does help boost us in the algorithm.
I listen to it on Spotify.
And we can comment on Spotify now, apparently. So if you want to engage that way, you can. The other way you can engage is by sending us an email at drearymidnightpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
And follow us on Instagram
at
Dreary Midnight Pod. And hopefully we'll be able to post the spooky
Sorry,
photos in
she's
spooky seasons.
staring at me. I'm sorry.
So if you message the Instagram, it'll likely be me, but anyone posting on the Instagram is
Gonna be me.
Celeste.
Yeah.
But with all that said, if you encounter a grave, don't move it.
Please.
Just don't. Unless you want to get haunted, but, still don't.
And watch out for appendicitis.
And safe travels home on this dreary midnight. Good night.
Good night.